What's happening, everyone? Austin Evans here, your Central Arkansas Realtor, and today I am with
Stephen Reynolds, local mortgage lender.
Yeah, awesome. And so, guys, we are excited to really launch this new real estate show that we're going to be working, co-hosting, bringing on some new people, rotating a second and third chair called the Happy Closing Day Real Estate Show. Stephen, I'm excited about this.
You should be.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. Guys, if you've been following me on social media, I've been putting out a lot of educational content. I know, Steven, you've seen some of that. And the goal with this is to really give you, the consumer out there, information for all things real estate. We're local to the Central Arkansas area, but these principles we're going to talk about throughout this show are going to apply to just anyone out there. And today, guys, we're going to kick off a 5-week series where we're going to talk about what I call the buyer basics. So how do you buy a home, and what do you do if whether you're a first-time home buyer or even someone who hasn't bought a house in 30 years, because we run into that all the time. You may forget stuff. What do you do? And so, Steve and I, as we were talking, prepping for the show, one thing we had talked about was, the first step. So if you decide, hey, I want to buy a home, we talked about you've got to assemble that real estate team. So Stephen, when I say that, what does that mean, and what does that mean to the buyer out there?
Sure. And from my perspective as a lender, I think one of the first things you need to do is find a lender, so you can get pre-qualified, and so that you know, and that your realtor knows, and then the would-be sellers know that you're good to buy.
Yeah.
And you can shop with confidence.
Yeah, and you touched on that's something I know we're going to dive into a little more, like that pre-approval process, what that means, what goes into it, and why it's important here in the later show. I agree with Stephen there. Get with your lender, because and I would say this I highly recommend a local lender to the area. I know, in the industry, it depends who you talk to. You hear maybe some horror stories you have out there with some of those, what I call 1-800 lenders out there. I've come across them personally. And so, get with someone, guys, get with someone local who knows your area, because that can be a real game changer, right, Stephen?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So someone who knows the market, who understands, and two, guys, this is a kind of behind the curtain thing. From the realtor perspective, we have relationships with local mortgage lenders like yourselves, and we want to do deals on both sides of the table, whether you're the listing agent or the buyer's agent, with a lender who we knows what's going on and can get things done in a timely manner, because we have deadlines, correct, Stephen?
That's
and everything. Right. Yeah. First step, get that great local lender. Second thing I would say when assembling your team, obviously, is on my side, get with a local realtor. And I say local because, so technically here in the state of Arkansas, I am licensed to sell real estate in all 4 corners of the state. But I don't do that because the market here in Little Rock, Arkansas is very different than the market out in Carlisle, Arkansas. Totally different, or in Fayetteville, or if you go south to El Dorado. So someone local who's very intimate and understands the market, understands what neighborhoods are good, maybe even knowing the local builders, connections to knowing this neighborhood runs on a community sewer, for instance. That's something someone out of the area may not know. So I think that's definitely a big key there. Is there anyone else, Stephen, you would add to this real estate team?
Insurance plays a big role in it. People ask me all the time, well, what's the payment on a $200,000 house?
Yeah.
Well, there's lots of variables. They're asked about closing costs. One of the biggest variables for most people's house payment is their homeowner's insurance.
Yeah, definitely. And again, hear me preach local a lot, guys, on this show. Local insurance agent who you can call, and even I know for you, just maybe getting hold of an insurance agent to get paperwork, to get quotes, even that goes a long way in when it comes to making an offer on a house, even if what affects your overall budget as
That's
well. Right. And two, I would say also begin talking about a title agent. That's someone who a lot of people have no clue what they do and or don't know anyone who does that. And we're in a position where we work with a lot of great title agents locally, and those are people who, at the end of the day, guys, they get the deal wrapped up. They're on the back end, but they tie that up in a nice, neat bow And it's like our show says, the happy closing day. Show is a happy day when we get to closing.
That's right.
There. Yeah. So, and guys, those are some guests I know I'm going to have on as we progress through the show. We'll get some local insurance agents out, local title agent even, to let them kind of talk about really what goes on with what they do there. So Stephen, let's back up for a second. So when someone is first step, okay, I need to find a lender. What are some things they need to look for in a lender, or questions they may even need to ask someone? And maybe they're talking to a couple. What advice would you give someone out there?
Sure. The biggest thing that people ask me is what's your interest rate? And a lot of people, lead with interest rate. It's the most important thing to them. But you got to look at fees too. The rate and the fees work inversely. So when I see somebody out there that's got a rate that may seem too good to be true, there's probably hefty fees involved.
Yeah.
So if you want to get the full picture, if you're comparing lenders, and you're looking at rate, you got to look at the fees too.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Yeah, definitely. If you're talking to multiple people, just with anything, guys, you want to have go in and have some knowledge, but don't be afraid to ask questions too. I know some people don't want to look stupid. They
Sure.
feel like, I don't know, but that's what you're there for.
That's right. People apologize all the time. Like, I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, and we're not taught this stuff in school.
That's right.
Either. I mean, we really not. You don't know until you go through the process.
So ask the question.
Yeah, ask the questions for sure. And so I'll say on my end, if you're interviewing multiple realtors and you're looking to buy a house, first off, make sure they know the area you're looking in. I know that it can be a big detriment, if you're working with a realtor who is just completely unfamiliar with the area. They're not going to understand whether it's the demographics, whether it's the pace of the market. In today's market, especially for those of you out there, you probably know it's been a seller's market. The last 18 months, 24 months have just been, just moving, and having someone who understands the local area. They are intimate with maybe, age of the homes, any things that have been done, if you're in a flood zone, stuff like that. And I would say too, you want to get with a realtor who they understand the market as a whole. So they're studying it day in, day out. You've got to know your numbers at the end of the day. Even as a realtor, you've got to understand, be able to communicate with a lender like yourself. Okay, what are interest rates doing? I know it's something we want to talk about a little later on. And then how is that affecting your overall budget? And then two, I would say a realtor who listens to you. I mean, that's a big one, because when I sit down with a client, I'm going to ask them, okay, first question, have you gotten pre-approved? That's always my first one there. Who you're working with, things like that. But then two, what's important to you? So things that these are must-haves, and then these are, hey, we would like to have these, but they're not deal breakers. And then just all those details can mean a big difference for you when you're buying a house, and you want someone who's been listening to you through that as well. And then the last thing I would say, and this is probably my pet peeve in the industry as a whole, I think it's almost any industry, is someone who answers their phone. Just a simple response, whether it's a phone call, text message, even an email, something like that. I don't know if you deal with that at all or not.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I figured that. Yeah. So Stephen, is there anything before we wrap up the show today that you would say if they're assembling the real estate team? Any last little bit of advice?
I'd say it's never too early to get started.
Okay.
People will say, I'm looking to buy this summer, I'm looking to buy this fall, but it's never too early to plan.
Yeah.
The sooner that you find out where you stand, the better prepared you're going to be to go into the transaction. So when people ask me when I should get started, I'd say as soon as you're ready, to start looking. Don't wait. Go ahead and make that phone call, and let's start the planning process.
Yeah, and we'll touch on this a little bit later, but when they get pre-approved, how long is that good for?
So it's usually based around the credit report. Credit report's typically good for 120 days.
Yeah.
If we go beyond that, we just re-pull credit.
Yeah. So if you're roughly 120 days out, guys, I mean, you can begin that process. Don't be afraid. It's even 6 months out. I've talked to people. So so Stephen, thank you very much. We've got a few more coming down the road, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope this was beneficial. And definitely comment down below, like, subscribe to the channel. And if there's anything you want us to talk about, any questions you have for myself, for Stephen, post down below. We will have both of our contact information out there if you are in the Central Arkansas area looking for a great local lender or a local realtor. So, Stephen, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks
And
for having me.
yeah, thank you very much. Have a great one.